Hello and welcome to Learning From, and today to Learning from Locus, where I take a deeper look at the GM chapters or even books of RPGs and see what we can take away from them for our personal games or if we run that game. And I mentioned it already twice. Today I'm going to look at Locus, which is another horror RPG that brings a deep and unsettling Silent Hill-like experience to your table. And it is written by Ferne, Milton and Stephanie Bateman of Cobblepath Games. And it is a very, very interesting game where you play deeply flawed characters that come to a special place where something horrible happened and turned it into a Malus Locus, a bad place that is teeming with monsters and has plenty of mysteries to explore and to die to. And as with all these books I'm looking into, there's much more in these chapters than I'm telling you, especially since in this case we get an entire book of 170 pages, which is a little bit long for me to summarize to you for the director, as the GM is called, only. There is a separate book for the players, and it is recommended that the director reads at least the director's book and has an idea of what's in the player's book too. So, of course, as before, I am picking my personal highlights, and I have two big ones and one smaller one. So let's get into the Locus. First off, monsters. There's an entire chapter spent on creating monsters, and it comes a little bit with the territory of the game. And I love the idea that monsters are highly personalized. They spawn from sentient entities within the game world, within the Locus. And that can be and will be, for example, the player characters. The player characters, as I said, are deeply flawed. All of them have a haunt, a deed they did in the past, and that is coming to haunt them in the Locus. We are given beautiful examples on how to create them. And I will show you a picture of the page here. Look at the beautiful art. I really like this. And we get ideas for the color palette, sanguine. We are looking as an example at the temptation haunt. There is a broad category. What kind of temptation your character has fallen to is for the players to decide. And if you go for some generic ideas and want to extrapolate from there, this is what you get. For temptation, there is the color palette, which is sanguine, violet, magenta, red, very saturated, deep, vibrant colors. Then we have generic symbolism like reaching hands and apples, caduceus symbols or coinage, foxes. I really like that. And then we get into the physical traits that this monster of temptation might have that can be human aspects. The alluring sides, for example, snake aspects, chains or elements of bondage, fatty or swollen, blistered skin, fury aspects, and bulbous eyes. And then, this is, I think, my favorite of the four suggestions, associated sensations. Sensations the player characters can have while they encounter this creature. Warmth, clamminess, the smell of blood, flesh, either cooked well or burnt, or the jingle of coinage, aching joints, and pleasure. I really like this. As the horror comes closer to the group, and it brings this contradictory mix of sensations and physical attributes. I really like this. And you get more ideas for the other haunts too. And this allows to create something that very well fits to the characters, represents their own struggles. And the very neat thing about these monsters is you can fight them if you really want to. That's dangerous. But if you defeat them, they go away for a time. They can't die because they are not really living creatures. They're presentations of what's going on within you and brought to reality by the locus, by the bad place you're in. And you can't just shoot your internal problems with a bullet. Also, it is a good staple of horror that the monster can't die, and it will keep following you. Yeah, it's brilliant. There is a good section about how to stat out your monster, how to give it behavior in combat and out of combat. There's a ton of ideas and stuff like this in the monster section and chapter of the game, and it allows for very brutal, nasty, and so personally tailored monsters for your game. The second one is mysteries. Something I didn't expect of myself whilst I grew into the GM that I am today, is that I would love structure as much as I actually do. I am often improvising during my games and take a lot of the input of the players and weave it into the story, and we're very fluent with how things go. But I also like to have a solid structure that I can fall back to have an idea of how a well-written story works. And Locus does this by working with a structure for mysteries. And the section to how to prepare your game, how to set up, there's a suggestion to work with 3 mysteries for the characters to solve, with increasing insight on the events of the locus. And these tiers are like, the first mystery is learning that something is strange and wrong in this place, and that the characters aren't too well off here. The second mystery is about exploring this place is the source of all their trouble, and it's very dangerous to be here, and how to escape. And the third level is, or the third mystery is about what actually happened in this place and what must be done to lay the locus to rest and to solve the situation, and not just to run away. And for each of these mysteries, I mean, this is a good structure, but what's actually helpful is that we get suggestions and ideas of how to implement this, how to what kind of clues to give to your players, and they are neatly organized by categories. Like for the first mystery, you get the category of location descriptions, and then many of the location descriptions you should give should incorporate hints about the world feeling of. And then we get ideas for that, for like environmental anomalies and oddities, stopped clocks, doors being inexplicably locked, devices being broken or batteries drained when they shouldn't be, lights having been turned on when there has been no one around, small details that, when examined with the logical eyes, don't make quite sense. And this is good enough for mystery level 1. Of course, that's not enough for mystery level 3. So if we're looking there for clues, one of the sources of clues might be the Locus monster, which is a monster designed for the Locus, if I understood this correct. It comes only later at the game, and it is quite dangerous. So here we find the design for this creature should be filled to the brim with some symbolic meaning, all of it directly tied to the history and operation of the Malice Locus. For example, if the place was poisoned by an oil company and a lot of people died and never found any form of, if there hasn't been justice done for them, then you could have like the monster being drenched in oil. There might be a gas station sign in there. There might be a blindfold, scales and a sword for justice and stuff like this, and incorporate it into this creature. This isn't the moment to be to hold back anymore. This is where you put up the symbolism up front into the face of the player characters, and the players themselves can actually understand what's going on and have a fighting chance to succeed in maybe overcoming the horror. I really like how this, on the narrative side, increases the tension from a slow burning investigation to holy shit, everything is on fire, and it's very action driven. It's a nice engine to drive tension, and at the same time it helps the director to facilitate the emotions, the feelings, and things we expect from such a game, but with examples and a structure. Very highly appreciated whenever a game actually helps you with getting the things done that you are expected as a GM or director in this case. And the third advice that I found in there that stuck out to me, mainly because I am very in favor of doing this, is managing split groups. It's a little bit later in the chapter or the book. I'm not entirely sure. It's in the running this game section. And many games tell you don't split the party. There are several reasons for that. First, you will leave important competences out of a scene. If you leave your bard behind and the barbarian and the awkward wizard encounter a social situation, they are likely to fail. And also, it means that at least one player isn't active in this moment. Well, in a horror game, you kind of want these two things to happen. You want to have the players or the player characters in a bad spot where they are out of their water, and where they face problems somebody else could have solved, but they have really to struggle to get to the solution. And also isolation creates horror. So how do you handle these situations? Because you still have players who are not partaking in this scene. And the solution that I go to is have several scenes at the same time. Engage all the players in their individual struggles. And whilst they know, and this is metagaming in a positive way, while they know they could be more useful in another situation, to get there, they have to overcome certain difficulties and obstacles on their own. And the trick is to change spotlight every so often. In a combat situation or action scene, switch spotlight quickly, rapidly. Just exchange 3 to 4 sentences with each player and then go on. Move on to the next player. Keep the ball rolling. Keep the tension. Keep the speed up. And then in a more narrative scene, don't overstep 7 minutes while it's concentrating on one player and then heading over to the next one. 10 minutes is like the ultimum. Because if you have a group of 4, I like to have 3 to 4 players in my games. If you have a group of 4, whilst you're playing with one player, you have at least one player in your group who's already waiting for 30 minutes for their time to get into the story. If you have a very thick atmosphere, very story heavy, and everybody is buying into just listening, that's okay, but still remember everybody is here to play. And so make sure to not overstay the welcome with one player and let everybody else wait. And to drive tension up, especially in action scenes, I love to do this, is use cliffhangers. Give them the beginning of something and don't resolve every action immediately. I do this regularly with dice rolls for 2 reasons. The time that players need to collect the dice, to do the math, to roll and then count the results is dead time where everybody is waiting, maybe suspenseful, because this is an important role, but everybody is waiting. You could use this time to talk with another player about their problem. And I handle it like this. I tell them, roll me this and this and this, and I get back to you after I talked with the other players. So the player has time to do the dice roll, collect the results, and wait for the narrative result and outcome of the thing. Maybe already knowing that they have failed, which is an amazing situation to be in. Very suspenseful. So hop between your players quickly, especially in action scenes and in narrative scenes. Don't overstep 7 to 10 minutes. And if you have dice to roll, let them do this in the time where you are concentrating on another player. And that's how you run split parties. It works. Don't be afraid of it. Okay. This is what I picked from Locus. As I said, there's much more. There's great depth on preparing your game. It is a very preparation-heavy game. I think it is more on the rules light side of things. I think it's very fun, but it's not just pick dice, roll, you're done in some cases. In others, it's very much like this. And since this is a very personally tailored experience with a lot of dialogue between director and players before the game, because you want to fit it to the player characters, there's quite a lot of preparation to be done. And I'm very happy that there is a prepped scenario in there with all the foils already written, with monsters provided, and the like. That's great, because I am a lazy person and I might just pick that and run it and just fit it to the conversation that I am having with my players first. So that's Locus. I think with the upcoming Silent Hill media that is on the horizon, it might be the right time to pick it up. I know a few people who are very excited about this, and I think it is a good game, and maybe now you want to try it. So, see you around until the next time and the next game that we might learn from for our own games. Goodbye.